Final round.
Welcome to Button Mash, the show where we mash all your video game content for the week for you to listen to at the press of a single button. My name is Roger, and with me this week, Chris is still missing, so I replaced him with another Chris Herdman, and Brett from Control Alt Record. They're back after it's been 30 episodes, guys, since you were on.
30 episodes.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's actually and how you record what weekly or fortnitly?
Weekly.
So it's been
I feel like, yeah, you guys have way more consistency than us, like way more professional, you know, doing it every week. We're just like, we just do it when we feel like it. Can't be bothered.
We try. But thanks to guys like you, we're able to stay consistent. So thank you.
No, of course. Glad to be back and having another chat. So yeah, it's going to be good. Hopefully a good one. Hopefully we won't take well, we'll see how it goes. But if we go for another 2.5, 3 hours again.
I think we had a lot more topics last time because I didn't know how it was going to go. So I added a bunch of stuff. But this time I think it's
more condensed.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see how we go. I'm probably lying, but it's fun.
First of all, I do have to, I guess, apologize if my voice comes through sounding a bit croaky. It is actually my birthday today. So I was out drinking last night to celebrate. So
happy birthday!
Absolute disgrace.
A little bit of a story to get us started. Like earlier in the week when you asked us to, come on the show, I said to my wife, "What are we doing Sunday night?" And she's like, "Oh, it's your birthday. You can do whatever you want." I'm like, "All right, here I am."
I'm guesting on another podcast.
I'm recording a podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving up your time on your birthday to be on with us. Yeah.
Podcasting is a lot of fun, so I look for any chance to do it.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. So we've got a couple of news topics to talk about, and then we're going to talk about the games we've been playing lately. Let's start with probably the biggest topic this week, which is we finally got a trailer for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is coming out in November. We got a release date. It's coming out in November this year. What did you guys think?
It's interesting. It's really hard to pick, which timeline this is going to be part of, because, is this going to be sort of present Skywalker saga era, or is it going to be sort of Old Republic? Because I guess in every Star Wars game, the Jedi always seem to be losing. The Republic always seems to be falling. So bit hard to put the finger on which era it's going to be part of.
Can I sorry, are you talking about the game or are you talking about the movie?
The game.
Oh, you're talking about the game. Okay.
You watched the wrong trailer.
Did you watch the wrong trailer?
I thought you were gonna. Yeah, I thought you were talking about episode 9. And then I was like, that's Rise of Skywalker. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't watch that trailer, so I'll just shut up.
So look, it's interesting. It's intriguing, and it does seem like it's going to take, I guess, a bit of a cliche story arc of a young Jedi, finding his way. There's a few fight scenes in it where he doesn't have the lightsaber and whatnot. It seems to be a bit more of a improvised sort of fighting style. So that could be quite interesting, having to use what's around you rather than the traditional weapons. But I don't know, it hasn't struck me yet. The only thing that really is enticing me to consider checking it out, because it is an EA game, is the fact that it's done by Respawn. And they're coming off sort of a bit of a high with Apex Legends, and did a really good job with Titanfall 2.
That's got to be a pretty good indicator of a good game, because their last 3 games I think have been excellent.
But they've been bought off by EA since, is the thing.
Well, they were still with Apex, EA still published that, and as far as I know, is that EA basically gave them money and let them do what they want. They didn't actually have any decision-making abilities in there.
Yeah.
So that's why it came out and it wasn't crap. Awesome. So maybe they've sort of learned a lesson there. We don't actually need to ruin the game so much. We can sort of let developers do what they want.
That's it. But then we also have the thing of Battlefront 2 came out and it was like, guys, we're not going to have a season pass. We learned our lesson and all that. And look what happened. So I think, as Chris was saying at the start there, we'll have to sort of wait and see. Because I don't know if it was you, Chris, or Brett who said it, where you were like, I still don't trust them.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. Like they're saying it's gonna have not gonna have multiplayer and not gonna have microtransactions.
Yes.
But it's like how? So it's like, yeah, they've got to be up to something. You know, it's like you've got this like evil sort of company saying, yeah, like everything's gonna be good, and it's like, nah.
But it's mostly their multiplayer games that have that kind of thing, right? That sort of structure. Whereas this is supposed to be just a narrative-driven game where you're playing as a Jedi who's sort of, you know, living in hiding. I'm thinking it'll be set sort of between episode 3 and 4. It's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Looking at the episode 3 and 4, probably that's probably what I was just thinking there, because I'm looking at the poster or the image of you know, the Jedi standing on the, or I guess in your character standing on the cliff face, and there's like a crashed sort of starship in the background. And I'm just looking at it now and looking at the way the engines are designed, and the sort of I guess where the bridge would be at the sort of the top. It looks like one of those episode 1 to 3 sort of Galactic Republic Star Destroyers, not like a Star Destroyer on the Empire side. So I would probably agree it's going to be around that time. If not, then because of the design of that ship, it could be either in that first trilogy era, or we are still talking sort of further down the track, or like further away in terms of old Republic because of the design. So that's just one speculation.
Yeah, I see the ship,
the
crash ship that you're talking about. That was the like a prequel ship. So
so it does seem like a complete backflip from EA, considering, you know, what was it, last year or maybe the year before, they were like, nah, single player games are dead, no one wants to play them anymore. And then of course God of War came out, and it was just like, oh yes we do. And
who
now,
said that though? Was that that was the CEO, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
What was the studio they shut down? Visceral, that's it. With Amy Hennig, where they were working on that sort of Uncharted-esque Star Wars game, and they were like, it's too linear. Linear games aren't working.
Is there
anymore.
any, like, I've kind of got this trailer on in the background because I feel bad for not watching it. Is there any actual gameplay in this, or is it
no?
This
I don't think there's.
This doesn't
any
tell you
gameplay
anything, really.
No,
like it might indicate when it is, but yeah.
The coolest thing about this is, I guess, the release date, which is at the very end. But apart from that, you know that you're playing as this young lad, and there's also other things that have come out. So basically, it's going to have sort of Dark Soul-esque combat. Yeah. And
okay.
Which has me kind of pretty keen on it.
Interesting. Okay.
They better not pull the, like, you know, play it early, pay extra bullshit that they do and stuff. Like, I don't want to see any of that stuff. I know they will, but it's just I'm kind of secretly hoping that they learn not to do that.
Well, I guess who knows? Hopefully, I mean, it's coming out this year. I think it was November 15th.
November 15th.
So I think time will tell. It is EA. The fact that they're saying no multiplayer, no microtransactions, and like you say, you know, whether there's early access, pay more to get in sooner type rubbish. Hopefully, this could be the game that we've all been kind of waiting for to see a turnaround in EA in terms of, like, not necessarily Star Wars, but to kind of go, there's none of this multiplayer, none of this microtransactions. Hopefully that'll be like a starting point to kind of go, no, there's not going to be no early access. It's just, here it is. And I'm hoping that's going to happen because it's being pushed by Respawn.
I like, there's on the YouTube video, like, the top comment is, scariest thing about this trailer is the EA logo. That's quite good.
But once again, I think there was a tweet from EA Star Wars that sort of came out to say, oh, look, there's none of this. I hate the way they say there's no multiplayer and there's no microtransactions. It's a story game. Like, the way that they're using that as a selling point, it's just like,
yeah, I know. It doesn't have this horrible stuff we normally do.
Yeah. How is that you're saying?
Like, you've done that before. You've said that before with other games, and
I reckon there's actually like like fine print or a disclaimer somewhere that sort of says there's no multiplayer microtransactions, like with a disclaimer that says, at launch or something. And give it
2 days.
yeah, give it a. I think give it a few days, and you get your data miners in there and checking out, whatever they can in terms of data mining and leaks and whatnot, and checking out the code of the game. And I think, sure enough, we'll know in the next week if there's anything dodgy in the programming of it.
Well, I guess with a single player game, like I can't think of any single player only game that has sort of that microtransaction thing. I think I've got Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming to mind.
Oh, there's loads of them. There's loads of them, man.
Yeah, but like where there's microtransactions,
all the Ubisoft games, like all the Far Cry games, have microtransactions.
They're in there, but like you can still play the game without getting any of it, kind of thing. It's usually sort of
they're still there. I mean, sort of. I think there is quite a lot of games. I would say it's probably the minority for them not to have them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like also whether it's like, can you buy stuff that makes you stronger, or is it just cosmetics? And because that's a bit of a point of difference as well.
Yeah, I think if there's any sort of microtransactions in single player games, it does have to open up and beg the question of, how much of this experience grind that I'm going through has been tweaked to, give you a sense of potential frustration to make you want to sort of, buy.
Yeah, that's what they did with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They made it such a grind. The mid game is so long and tedious to play that you have to buy, microtransactions that double your experience. So that way, it's not so intolerable to play. So they actually made the game bad unless you pay for stuff.
Did you guys both play Odyssey?
No, I didn't. I watched videos on it.
You watched videos?
I know about it.
Yeah. So one of the YouTubers that we follow, Angry Joe, I think it was one of his sort of co-hosts that I can't remember which one. If it was, I can't remember. But he was sort of saying that he did cave and actually bought some of the experience boosts in Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
And based off his opinion, he felt the game was a lot more enjoyable when he spent more money to buy experience boosts, and then all of a sudden the actual mid game felt way more smooth, way more enjoyable, which is, I guess, the design behind that, implementation of that microtransaction sort of scheme to kind of go, yeah, we want you to feel frustrated, so you essentially buy these to make the, if you need the game to feel fun by spending more money on experience boosts, like that is.
But it's kind of like, it's kind of interesting though. It's like they're kind of asking you to spend money to make the game take less time. So it's like, is it fun or not? Because it's either fun and you're playing and you want more hours, or you're literally paying just to get it over with. Like when you think about it, it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play it at all, Chris?
No, I gave up on Assassin's Creed a while ago. I think maybe Unity was the last one that I played, and I didn't even finish it. So I'm just over the Assassin's Creed.
I didn't mind Origins. I didn't mind Origins, but I found it a bit. I was like, I don't really care anymore. I just sort of lost interest, and then when I saw the shit they were pulling with Odyssey, I was just like, nah, I'm out.
And it's just every year there's a new Assassin's Creed, and it's just the same. It feels the same. I'm sure there'll be diehard fans that go, no, it's completely different. I'm like, no, you've got your typical climb up walls, and you've got a few gadgets, and you sort of have to parry and counter in the combat, and it's just like it is essentially feels very much the same.
I feel like you get fatigued with those franchises. It's the same as Far Cry. It's like Far Cry 5 came out May last year, and then there's already a sequel 9 months later. It's like it's too soon. I feel like you need a couple of years between games, before you have a sequel, just to kind of let people have a bit of a break from it. It's just, I don't know, it's too much, I think, every year.
Because with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it was actually my favorite game of 2018. And
really?
Yeah, and I didn't spend $1 in microtransactions. I feel like...
Did you finish it?
I did. I've put about 80 hours in the whole game.
Oh, right, okay. So you just shut out now.
Because I was like, no, I was interested to see, to hear, what's been going around and stuff. And I kind of get what they mean by, it can be frustrating. There's a lot of grinding. But they've put... I fell off the Assassin's Creed train a long time ago. And then when they announced that Odyssey would have that sort of Greek mythology kind of setting, I was like, I love Greek mythology. I was like, I'm all in. jumping back in. I'll see what it's like. If it's not good, whatever, I'll return it or whatever. And I absolutely loved it. And I think it's, yes, there's a lot of grinding. You need to do a lot of side missions, but they all have sort of interesting bits. They're not like your typical sort of go grab this thing and return it to me. There's always like a little bit of narrative that makes it interesting. So it's always you get rewarded for your curiosity, and I absolutely loved it. And I did hear some people saying, it's they're kind of getting bored of it, and they feel like they're being forced to spend money on those sort of stat boosters, the experience boosters there. But I did not see that at all. And
that's it. Yeah, it's interesting. I had a friend of mine actually played it right through as well, and he said the same thing that you said. He said it was his favorite game of 2018. So, it's obviously differing opinions, and if you're having fun grinding, then the grinding's not a problem, right? So,
yeah, that's the thing. It didn't feel like grinding, because those side missions were so well crafted compared to what they normally do.
I think for me, I'm at an age now where I'm like, I don't have time to grind. And I think when we look at YouTubers such as, Angry Joe or, your Jim Sterlings of the world and things like that, there probably has to come a point where, like, I know with Angry Joe, like, Brett and I know, okay, I'll look for myself. I do quite enjoy his reviews, and I generally, like 95% of the time, trust his opinion, because he breaks down his reviews really well, and it's very relatable, very understandable. So most of the time, I actually do think he puts out a lot of good reviews, and I can put a lot of faith in that. But I still, to some degree, have to try and take what these reviewers on YouTube say with like a bit of a grain of salt, because when you're kind of going, I'm pissed off about, the top game of this year, it's like, oh, why are you pissed off? And how much is that is, potentially clickbait? And it's just sort of, could it be tailored or catered for? Let's maybe just, something that's a little bit frustrating. Maybe let's just blow it up to get people to click on our videos and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I, don't have sort of endless income. So I have to try and take some of their reviews, as, if you don't like it, there's probably a good chance that, I'm not going to, so I won't take the risk of spending, my money on that particular game. Because like probably 9.5 times out of 10, every time he says something that is not great, and I go and give it a go, I'm like, yeah, I'm done after like 2 hours or something like that. Right. So, but there's probably been like maybe once or twice over the years that I've kind of gone, no, I actually quite enjoyed this. So probably maybe missed the mark there a little bit. But I guess it's like
everyone has their own opinion, and you're not gonna find someone who is exactly the same as you. So everyone's different. You know what I mean? So you just kind of, and you also like, once you get to know reviewers, you know what they like, you know what they don't like, and it's you can sort of. Or you can watch multiple reviews and kind of get an idea that way. I like Jim Sterling as well is good. He's one of my favorite.
Yeah, same.
But he tends to complain about everything though. He doesn't really say anything positive. Any problems? So, yeah.
There you
go.
So Jedi, the Fallen Order.
Well, I guess was there anything else you want to add on?
I just feel like there's nothing you can really say about it, because this trailer is like, this could be for anything. This could be for like a movie. It could be for like, there's nothing there. It's just like, we just made a CGI movie. It looks pretty cool. This isn't telling you anything. It doesn't tell you about any of the gameplay, any of the mechanics, or anything. As you say, it's just got the release date. So,
like, didn't that happen with Anthem? They showed like this amazing cinematic trailer, and it's like, this is the world that you're going to be in. It's like, cool. How does it play?
That's not a good sign, because like when they did that with Anthem, they didn't even have a game. They just chucked that thing together, because the the CEO of EA was like, "What have you been doing for the last 5 years?" And they like scrambled and went, "Oh fuck, we better like show them something." And then they like put that trailer together and then made the game based on that. Yeah, well, I'm not saying that's what this is, but
there's probably because they're not gonna have their normal conference at EA, but they're still gonna have their, what is it called, EA Play, where they let players sort of try their new games, their upcoming games, that sort of thing. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be there. So I think that's when we're going to see the gameplay, so around June.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to see some gameplay footage.
Yeah, I think, because this is the very first trailer we see for the game, and that's because it was Star Wars Celebration this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we're going to see some gameplay around June, around E3, and then release in November. I'm pretty pumped for a single player. They said it's canon as well. That's the other thing I forgot. So it's canon, which means
I'll
poor
probably
little guy.
hold on.
Mhm.
I'll probably hold on to my opinions on what it could be like until I see gameplay.
Yeah, 100%.
Can I just say, like, please, to anyone listening, please don't pre-order whatever you do. Just wait until it comes out, because just don't trust EA on anything they say. You can wait. Like, you don't need to pre-order. It doesn't do anything. It just gives them more power to fuck you over, basically.
And this is the thing: pre-orders. I think, pre-orders used to be. They came about when digital downloads were not a thing. We're going back a number of years now. So, when you could only purchase your games through retail. So, and this is what annoys me about pre-orders now, is that pre-orders used to be there so you could reserve your copy on day one. So you can get down to your local video, your game store, and they're only going to get limited supply. So it's a first in, best dress. So you want to pre-order so you can reserve your copy. So you didn't miss out on day one. That's what pre-orders used to be about. Now it's like, if it's a digital download, there is absolutely no reason to have like a lack of supply.
But that's why they give you a bonus. They're like, you can play it a week early if you pre-order it. So they give you those little incentives to try and get you to do it, which is fucking annoying.
But
it's a total scam, but it's just what they do.
Exactly. It's like, you made it, obviously, just stick it in the game. Why do you need to play it early to play something or get this extra bonus of a skin? Just stick it in the game. It's already in the game. But it's just so you're going to get your money. Why do you need it earlier? Because you're going to get it. So it's just, I don't know.
The reason they do it is, especially, they'll push pre-orders really hard on a game that they know is going to get just destroyed in the reviews. So they did it like, that Anthem, I don't know if you noticed, had a really strong pre-order sort of incentive on it, because they knew, and then because it comes out and it gets reviewed and it gets panned, and then no one buys it. So that's why I just always try to wait for reviews now. At least gives you a rough idea.
If the game is going to be good, like, they want their money early because, they've got it, and you can't get, like, obviously refunds if the game turns out shit. If your game is going to be good, you don't need pre-orders. It's just that simple. So I think, can't try to discourage people enough to not pre-order. But that's our opinion. That's not necessarily button mashers. That's just where Brett and I stand on pre-orders. If it's good, you don't need to pre-order it. You'll make your money.
Yep.
Of course. No, I completely agree with you guys. Let's move on to our next topic, which is Sony finally launching PSN name changes. Now, I find that absolutely baffling, because I'm pretty sure I was able to change my Xbox Live username back on my 360 something like
is this
8 years
like,
ago.
I don't really... how is this, like, newsworthy? Like, just so you can change your name. Is this something that's everyone's been waiting for?
Yeah.
Well, that's... Yeah, because I think with Sony, like, once you locked in your username, you could never change it up until
it's so
now.
ridiculous.
Which is...
since 2007.
God.
So, of course, at that point, I guess a lot of people a lot younger, when they're sort of, 12 years ago, making up silly names and things like that, were locked in. They could never change it. So once they get into their 30s, it's like they've still got, Sick Boy 69 or something. And they're like, I'm a 40-year-old man with Sick Boy 69, so, but I don't know.
I just can't believe it's taken that long. Like, I thought it was pretty funny, to be honest. That, like,
and what's the rules with the name changing? Is it like, can you do it only once every few months, or is it like just
I'm not sure what it is now. When they released the beta, which was running towards the start of this year, they said that you would be able to change it once for free, and then after that you would have to pay, which I think...
Oh, you gotta pay?
Yeah.
Damn, Sony, fucking cheeky bastards.
I know.
Do Microsoft charge for name changes, or
They
constant name
do
changes?
after a number of times. I'm not sure if it's after once, but they do after a number of changes.
Yeah.
How can they justify charging? It doesn't, like,
no
surely
idea.
it doesn't cost them anything. They don't have to do
Surely
anything,
not.
do they? Isn't it just like a piece of code that
Yeah.
runs?
So-
Another way of making money, I guess.
Yeah.
What was the beta test you were talking about earlier in the year? Like, were they beta testing how to change names?
Yeah.
Or was
Yeah,
it
that's
something-
right. That's
Wow,
right.
it's got to be super complicated.
If it's taken them that long, 12 years. But yeah, so now you can, but then there's this thing where if you change your name, some games, so I believe it was if they were released before April 2018, they may not be compatible with the name change, which means if you got like save data or or save stuff from your previous username, it might not be compatible, which means you lose your save file.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, yes, it is.
Jesus.
That's why it's newsworthy, Brett. To answer your question,
That's
because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm a bit speechless on the whole thing.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
they're thinking, like, you think that would be something you would sort of implement right from the start?
yeah. It's
I just can't believe it'll break your game essentially, or potentially break your game. Have they at least said what games it will break, so you can like feel your pain earlier before rather than later?
No, because they're not sure. They said the games that were released after April 2018 were programmed to have that implemented because they knew it was coming, whereas the ones before that, they can't guarantee that it's going to work because it wasn't planned, kind of thing.
I just looked it up. It costs so yeah, like you said, the first one's free. Then it costs $10 to change it. $10.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah, it's just.
Wow.
I just think it's just mind blowing that something as simple as changing a few letters in your name, it costs $10, and to even take this long for Sony to implement that type of thing is just, absolutely crazy that they could do a lot of amazing things, but they can't change your name up until now. It's taken them 12 years.
Just be like
to do
a
that.
few lines of code, wouldn't it? Like just
think
basic,
so?
really basic code that anyone could write.
Unless they've made it so
maybe
complicated.
It's something I don't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe it is embedded like in the games where the game, when you first start it up, like registers what your name is, and then that's it. It can't possibly be. But even then, it should be able to. That doesn't make sense. They should be able to patch that.
Weird. So weird.
Yeah, it's. I mean, other than that, I'm not really sure what else to say about it. Other than it's like, okay, great that it's taken you 12 years to figure out how to change a name, and it's just mind blowing.
It's probably not. I reckon it's probably just something where they're like, well, there's nothing in it for us, and then like they're at a meeting, they're like, right, how can we make more money? And they're like, I know, we'll charge people $10 to do it because they keep asking, and we literally don't have to do anything except just get some student to write 3 lines of code, and we'll make shitloads because people want to change their name. So that's probably why.
I mean, I did find some funny video or funny images on Reddit regarding this, where people are sort of changing their name. Like there's been like, there was like Mad Boy, but Boy was like, BOI. And now they've changed the name to like Madman. They're all
I saw that.
They're all growing up now, so it's like they're not a boy anymore. They're a man.
It's like evolution of your name.
Yeah. So, anyway, sure.
Yeah, I just want to bring that
Congratulations,
up. Congratulations, ridiculous. But then Chris, you brought up something that I hadn't heard about called DLive.
So this is a streaming service that has. I did just actually before we started recording, I quickly Googled when it launched. But DLive is basically a streaming platform that is competing now with Twitch, and it launched in September last year. So it's still sort of 6 months in. It's still in its infancy stages. But the reason why DLive has all of a sudden just blown out of proportion, or in the social media space, is because about a week ago now, PewDiePie, I probably don't need to explain who PewDiePie is, has announced that he's going to be streaming exclusively with DLive. Now, all of a sudden, and part of that exclusivity for the first like 24 hours, which I think is in 8 hours' time, he's going to do his first stream. And what he's actually doing is to support transition of streamers onto that platform, is he's going to be giving away like $50,000 to to random streamers, up to like a maximum of like 100 people or something like that. And that is, I think it ranges between $10,000 and $50,000 that he's going to be giving away randomly. Maybe just Google it if you want to sort of know more about, if you are a streamer, to find out a bit more about what he's doing. Just Google it. But yeah, so we've actually, because us ourselves, our show, we do stream on Twitch, and so Brett and I have made up sort of like our own personal accounts rather than our actual podcast show moving over, because we thought we would test the waters with DLive, and that's sort of now a potential new streaming platform to compete with the bigger ones like Mixer, YouTube, Twitch. But the interesting thing about it is how the currency of how you get paid is through the Lino blockchain. So you're going into like cryptocurrency and all this type of thing. So you can, there's sort of two ways of getting paid. You earn what the Lino points, and the Lino is the cryptocurrency, I believe. And I've got a very basic understanding of how it works. So if you're interested, maybe people do your own sort of research. I've got a very basic understanding. I'm still learning about it myself since I've come across it. So what people could do is they donate to the streamer with what's called Lino points, and Lino is the cryptocurrency blockchain that goes alongside other competitions such as Bitcoin and whatnot. And so people can actually donate that to you, and then you can actually get paid out into PayPal or Bitcoin rather than a straight monetary payment or donation into like your Patreon accounts or your Twitch wallets and things like that. But because it is a cryptocurrency, the value of the Lino points kind of changes on a daily basis. So if you've got a whole bunch of Lino, it could be worth $1 one day or 50 cents the next, or it could be $2 the following day. And there's that type of volatile sort of economy system with it. So it's still in its early days, and it's expected to sort of really explode tomorrow once PewDiePie goes live. But it seems really interesting. It's sort of like really tiny community. It's not saturated like Twitch at this particular point. It seems like a really interesting platform to be streaming on. One of the other really cool things, sorry, I'll try not to talk too much longer, but the other interesting thing about
20
it
minutes, Chris, come on.
is as a viewer, you can actually earn Lino points without spending any money on it, simply by interacting with the streamer and viewing for extended periods of time. You get like this little chest thing that has like a fill up or a gauge or a bar that the longer you watch, the more you interact, the faster that fills up. And when it fills up, you open your chest and you get 1 or 2 Lino points and things like that, which you can then start to accumulate yourself, or you can use that to then donate back to the streamer and whatnot. So you don't actually have to spend money as a viewer to support the channels that you sort of subscribe to or follow to.
So where does the money come from then? Is that just to do with the cryptocurrency?
It's got to do, so that's the type of thing I'm not 100% clear on, but it is the Lino is the cryptocurrency that somehow in the back end of the cryptocurrency world is being sort of generated. Viewers can purchase Lino points with real money. Similar to going on Twitch and donating $10 to a Twitch streamer, you can purchase $10 worth of Lino points to use however you want.
The thing that sort of drew me to it, or Chris told me about it, and I sort of thought I'll set up a channel, is because it's like when you stream on Twitch, like say we stream Terraria quite a lot, and you go on there and there's 40 people streaming it, and of course you're right down the bottom because we're just sort of starting with that. So you kind of get, you don't really get seen. But on this, it's like quite often there's no one streaming Terraria, so we do it, and people, you're the only one doing it, and then you get more people just by a ratio. There's way less people on the thing, but for new people, it's much better.
All right.
To get a bit of traction and get followers.
Awesome.
And yeah, exactly. I think, because of the incentive for viewers to get involved with the streamer, because when we do Twitch, there's so often I'm just talking to, I can see people sometimes watching and I'm like, how's everyone going? How's your weekend going? And I'm trying to interact with them and no one ever responds. That's fine, because some people just simply like to watch what's going on. They don't want to, it's called lurking. They don't want to engage.
Yep.
But there is the incentive for viewers to get engaged with the streamer, because they get that sort of return of the points.
Yeah, right.
And so like when Brett went live, he did his very first solo stream outside of our little group for the first time this week.
Congrats.
And by the time I jumped on, he already picked himself up like a new follower, and he had literally just started. And it was just like,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was really
and
cool to see that.
I got some currency as well. This wasn't
Oh,
much,
wow.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Like in your first hour, you're already getting some money.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it wasn't. I think it was like 10 cents or something.
Yeah.
But it's
Still.
cool.
Yeah, that's
Better
awesome.
than nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah,
Probably
if you
gonna be on
are
there later.
if any of your viewers are sort of thinking of taking the plunge into streaming and that content sort of creation, is maybe check out DLive. Do your research first, because it is the cryptocurrency world, and that can be super volatile. But do it as a hobby. Do it because it's fun. People seem to be really supportive on it because it is such a small niche little market. It's not saturated like Twitch or YouTube, and it just seems so much. It seems very supportive because people are incentivized to get involved with each other. So it's quite an interesting concept. Very early days. It could be gone in the next 6 months or whatever. Who knows? But we'll see what happens from tomorrow when PewDiePie goes live.
My channel is called Killbot. It's KILLBOT. I know it's a weird name, but I made it when I was 15, so don't judge me. And yeah, you can. I try to stream Terraria, so if you're interested in Terraria and you feel like watching me die continuously, feel free. And what's Chris? Your Herdy_TV? Or
No,
Herdy
just
TV?
Herdy TV.
Yeah.
So just that. But that's it. We've just got our little personal accounts purely because we just want to test the waters.
Yeah.
Like our main stuff is on Twitch essentially right now, but we're just testing the waters with DLive, since it's a less saturated market.
Awesome. That sounds good. I'm going to check you guys out when I bring up this DLive thingy. That sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, it's seems like an interesting idea, interesting concept, but
Yeah.
still early to tell if it's actually going to be worthwhile or not. So proceed with caution.
I don't think you need to say that. I think it's just like, if the amount of hours you'd put into Twitch to build up a following is like hundreds or thousands of hours. With this you can probably build your following up a little bit quicker. So I don't think it's
Yeah, but then there was that other thing that was trying to compete with YouTube a couple of years ago. I can't even remember the name, and it lasted like a year, and then it died.
what was that?
remember
There's
what
been a
it's
couple
called.
of ones that try and compete with YouTube that got shut down. I remember some like content creators lost a lot of money because of that. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
What was it? I remember Vines. Do you remember Vines?
The app.
Yeah, well, it was like people would make Vines and they were like short videos, and it was like a stream, like not a streaming platform, but like a YouTube, video platform. And there was a lot of people that were making a lot of money out of it, and then they're just like,
No, isn't that because they got bought out?
I don't know, but it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it does. I think it got bought out, and then they're just like, it was either
Twitter,
YouTube or Facebook that bought them out.
Google might have just shut it down, bought them out and shut it down.
Yeah.
Because
Pretty much.
competitor. But it's the creators that are on there that have done, it might have taken them 5 years to build up, the amount of followers they have, and then the next day they have nothing because it's all on, that's the problem when you're on someone else's platform, I suppose. It's just the way it goes. But there you go.
That's it. Yeah, well, I'll definitely check you guys out. Maybe I'll make some Lino points and I'll donate them to you.
Hey, you can do that simply by viewing, and I think that's the interesting part. That you can show support without spending money.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'll definitely check it out. You got me very interested. But that's it for our news topics for this week. So let's talk about what games we've been playing lately. So I hope our listeners aren't getting sick of it, because this is going to be the third week in a row that we're talking about the Division 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the thing was, I was in America for a month. So I started playing Division 2 last week.
Okay. All right, so still very new for you.
Yeah, well, I still haven't reached level cap, so I haven't done the end game yet.
Okay, so we
sort of old news now, isn't it? Division a little bit. Is
yeah,
it? I don't know. Maybe
yeah, but it's still
not for everyone. Not for Roger.
Not for Roger. Roger's still a level 25 guy, and he's still very much enjoying it. What do you guys think of the game? Because you guys have both been playing it, right?
I really loved it, and I got up to like max level, like 30,
Yep.
and then very quickly lost interest.
Oh, really?
Once I sort of stopped progressing. Obviously, you keep, you go. There's like 5 different world tiers, and you can keep progressing through and upgrading your armor and stuff and your weapons. But for some reason, yeah, once I sort of started grinding through the world tiers, I'm like, yeah, it's getting a bit repetitive now. So,
Okay.
but absolutely, I think I put 40 hours into it and really loved it.
Wow. Okay.
Definitely didn't feel like it was too short or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think I'm about 41 hours in, and still sort of plugging away at it a little bit. I'm certainly not playing it as frequently as I used to when it actually first launched.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. It was a certainly worth. I mean, if you get more than 40 hours out of a game, I think it's definitely worth the full price that it sort of sells for.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely seemed to have some improvements compared to the first one,
Yep.
and I picked up recently a new monitor that goes up to sort of 120 frames. So seeing Division 2
I thought it was 144.
Oh, sorry, 144 hertz, yes, but
Yeah.
the frames sort of bounce between 100 to 120. For some reason,
no, it's 144 hertz monitor, which means 144 frames a second, but your computer isn't powerful enough to basically get it to that.
Well, that's right. So that's why I sort of jump around the 100
Still pretty good.
frames.
Pretty
Oh no, it's still great. And of course, so seeing Division 2 with like a new monitor, which has like the G Sync compatibility and sort of the larger array of colors, it just looks absolutely amazing. When the weather sort of kicks in, whether it's fog or rain or the god rays that sort of come through on the sides of buildings, it looks absolutely amazing. The world design is awesome. So much detail has sort of gone into it. The loop of just the constant sort of grind for gear doesn't feel too tedious because the boss fights and any sort of AI fights are quite fun because of the AI mechanics in it are a lot smarter than the first one. Particularly, they flank you and things like that. They didn't really do that in the first one. I like the change to the armor. So, it is about. It feels more realistic. It's like you're chipping away at armor rather than health. So, I think that's a sort of a better move.
The hoodies with infinite health, like those hobo-looking guys.
Sorry,
Division 1. Remember the guys at the start of Division 1 with the red hoodies? It's like, how are you not dead yet?
How are you not dead? Yeah, you've got nothing on, and
30 rounds like into your head.
Yeah.
Running around.
But once again, for me though, if I get to like that 40-hour mark in a game, I feel I've got my money's worth, and I start to similar to Brett, start to fatigue a little bit on it because there's so much more out there. And I kind of feel once I got my money's worth, my attention span starts to deteriorate quite quickly. So I haven't picked it up recently.
Okay. Cool.
Mostly because, because of the end game stuff, there's parts of that has probably let my fatigue sort of kick in faster than normal. And I don't want to go into that because, well, you're not up to the end game yet. I don't want to sort of say what happens. I kind of accidentally ruined it for Brett, so I won't ruin it for you or any of yours.
Okay.
It's pretty annoying because you get annoyed about spoilers, and then he literally does it to me. Like, tells me exactly what happens, and I'm like, thanks, man.
I've done that to people before. Like, I don't watch trailers or anything like that for movies and that. And then once in a while, I'll just let something slip, and they're like,
It's pretty hard these days because it's like everything just gets
definitely.
put all over Facebook and like it comes up on your phone news feed. It's like it's really impossible to avoid them.
Oh,
what
certainly.
do you think about the game, Roger?
What's that? Sorry.
What do you think about the game? You're obviously enjoying it.
Yeah, so it's big 180 for me because I never reached level cap in the Division 1. I kind of dropped off pretty quickly, but I think it's because it's a game where I was looking forward to playing with my friends, and I was really excited to do that, and I jumped in, and back then I didn't have that much time to play, which I still kind of don't, I guess. But when I did get the chance to jump on, my friends would be like, 10, 15 levels above me, and I just get destroyed. I'm just sitting back watching them kill enemies while I'm just being useless, just trying to get experience from what they're doing. Whereas this, I think they've that's probably the biggest improvement for me is where I was able to jump in with my co-host Chris when I came back from America, being level 1, and he was level cap, gear level 250 or whatever it was, and we were able to play it because they normalize your level, and
Yeah,
I
like
think
scales it up.
Yeah, so I think that was awesome, and
It is good because we had a similar thing where we'd play with our other friend who hardly plays it, and he was level 3,
yeah,
we were 25, and then it made him level 24, I think, and that
yeah,
was,
yes, it's one
Something
level
like that.
below what.
yeah, it is good.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and yeah, like you said, all these fixes with the armor and like the getting all these things where that's another thing where I was coming off Destiny when Division 1 came out, and I was like, getting a loot in the Division is like you're picking up trash, like whereas in Destiny I was picking up cool looking armor and whatnot. Whereas now, I guess it's all about the numbers. I don't care as much. I'm just like, cool, this is giving me, whatever amount of armor and that. And yeah, like I've been getting up early in the morning so I can get an hour or two before I start work. Okay. I'm
Nice.
fully in.
So when you say that you're picking up the trash, are you referring to just like gear and the gear's crap, or all the extra bits and
like
pieces you pick up?
it's not you're not picking up like a shiny piece of armor. You're picking up a beanie or like a standard looking gun. Do you know what I mean?
It is a bit like that because I think they're sort of restricted because it's like, it's still set in the real world, so they can't have like all these insane magical weapons and lasers and stuff. So, I know what you mean because the guns get a bit like it's just so many guns.
That's it. It's like
Yeah.
another example would be like Diablo, which we're about to talk about. It's like, you kill that enemy and like you kill the boss and you see all this loot just come out of him. And you're like, cool, I've got all this shiny stuff. And then you play Division, and it's like, cool, I got an M16 or whatever. Awesome.
I guess that's the difference between playing in sort of that fantasy sort of genre or versus realism. So I think that's all that really sort of comes down to. But if you're someone who's into that sort of militaristic style of gameplay, then I think it's probably perfect for you.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I think I've changed as a player between number 1 and 2 because now it's like I love getting something new, and I'm like, cool, it's going to boost my stats by this much, and you know what I mean? And I'll go, okay, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to deconstruct that and get the materials from that and craft this other thing. And yeah, it's complete 180. Like I'm in love with it. It's awesome.
The only complaint I had was like, I feel like if you look at your character compared to like level 30, you pretty much like look the same. I wish they did a bit more with the like, with the cosmetics and stuff, just to make your guy look a little bit cooler without spending money on the, the cool armor sets that you can buy.
Well, I guess the only sort of little bit of a sort of change in that is that when you hit level 30 and you open up your specializations, you get like the three tiers of like your sniper, your grenade launcher, or your crossbow. That stuff that they were really heavily advertising prior to the launch. There is within that skill tree apparel that you automatically unlock. So if you go down like the sniper path, you get like a sniper apparel set. If you go down like the grenade launcher, you get like a demolitionist type.
Yeah, but that's
apparel.
like three. That's only 3 sets.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
But it's not much. But that's basically the only main change between level 1 and level 30 is that type of looking difference. Unless you want to pay for your apparel for your outfits.
That's what I mean. Like it's very limited. I felt it was anyway. And it's like all the cool cosmetic sets are all like paid, even though you can actually get them, which is good. But it seems like you just get all this random shit.
That's it. Doesn't mean that I could be a level 3 and get and open up one of those chests and get what you could be getting at level 30. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I guess part of it, almost feels like even on the like Ubisoft launcher, and you're sort of looking at the game in the top right hand corner, it tells you how many items you've actually looted. It almost feels like they've seen what's happened with Anthem and gone, everyone's complaining they're not getting loot. And now let's give them a loot counter. Let's up our loot drops.
So much loot, man. So much loot.
Let's just like you walk 5 meters and there's like water bottles to pick up, and it just seems like they've just gone overboard to like overcompensate to make people happy because of what's just happened with Anthem. It just kind of feels like there's a bit of a, fuck you to BioWare and Anthem. That's kind of how
Well, you
that
could
feels.
see that with the Borderlands 3 trailer, because they were like,
Yeah,
they
100%.
literally said 1 billion guns, like I said. And it's just like loot, and it's just like all the loot, basically, because they just they knew what how people are feeling.
Awesome. All right, maybe that's enough about Division. Because, like I said, our listeners are probably getting sick of it. So let's move on to. So I believe is it just you, Chris, who's playing Diablo 1 through 3 on your Twitch?
Yeah. So on Twitch at the moment, we're sort of playing. Oh well, I'm doing like a Diablo 1 to 3 playthrough, and Brett and I are doing Terraria. And the Diablo 1 to 3 playthrough purely came from the fact that Diablo 1 was recently released on GOG, and it was like $15 or something like that. And I've got Diablo 2, I've got Diablo 3 in my sort of Blizzard store and my library and things like that. But as soon as I saw Diablo 1 release, I was like, damn, I got to get that. That for me 20 years ago was Diablo 1 and the Warcraft 2 Ties of Darkness. They were the two PC games that got me into PC gaming. And with Diablo 1, it's just one of those games when, it was on disc, and over the last 20 years, it's gone. It's just disappeared. And now that it came out, I was just like, yes, I'm jumping on that. And I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to play it, why not stream it? So I kind of thought for, try and get a bit of longevity in terms of a playthrough, I thought I'd do Diablo 1, go just through the story, kill Diablo, move on to Diablo 2, same again, play through all the acts, kill the last sort of few bosses, and then move on to Diablo 3. And that's all that sort of playthrough idea sort of came from. But what really spurred me on to do it is when I sort of first suggested it, Brett and other sort of host, Michael, both just laughed and said, "You won't do that. You'll never do that," because I very much have a tendency of getting distracted by other games and move on. So I have a determination to do it, and mostly because Brett said I couldn't.
So I helped you, really. I helped you with your motivation.
Awesome. It's a win-win situation for Brett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've recently finished off Diablo 1, and
cool.
that's done. I'm now into Diablo 2,
Awesome.
and I'm actually playing through what is called the Median XL mod. So it's basically like a bit of a remaster, a little bit sharper in the graphics, but still looks quite retro into what Diablo 2 used to look like. But this particular mod, which is free to get as long as you've got Diablo 2 and the expansion, it'll run off that. It's got like every class has a brand new set of skill trees. It's got more skill trees in it, and there's new enemies, there's new weapons. So they're basically like refreshed Diablo 2. It's like a brand new game to play. It looks the same, a little bit sharper, but there's, like I said, new weapons, new gear, new armor, more skills, more enemies, different enemies, a wider range of just everything.
Yep.
And it's like playing Diablo 2, it's like a brand new game, which is absolutely awesome, and sort of love it at the moment. So, but yeah, that's all that was. It was just a bit of a Twitch playthrough.
And where can we watch that?
So at the moment, I am doing that on our main Twitch page, which is CarPod TV. So if anyone is interested to come along for the journey, the ride, then by all means, stop by and have a chat, because that's what makes streaming fun, is actually interacting with people. So if anyone wants to relive or even wants to check out what Median XL is, then come along and check it out.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. When are you streaming, by the way?
So Brett and I stream on Monday nights, and that's like a game stream. But then Wednesday night, well, for the next 6 weeks, at least, because we'll do Tuesday night instead for the next few weeks, because Game of Thrones is back tomorrow.
All right.
So I'll be watching. So my Monday nights will be free. But we stream Mondays and Wednesdays traditionally. Apart from the next few weeks, it'll be Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Yep. Wednesdays are generally our podcast night.
But work that out, because I'm usually busy on Tuesdays, so we haven't really agreed on that.
I'll be streaming on Tuesday nights.
You'll be streaming, yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a bit if Brett is available, then we tend to stream Terraria. If it's just me, I'll be playing Diablo.
Right.
But then with Diablo, if I get any sort of extra ad hoc time on a weekend, I'll probably jump on and stream it just to try and continue to through it. So like if my wife goes out, she's like, "Oh, I'm going out tonight." I'm like, "All right, see ya." I'm going to probably most likely stream Diablo.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what that's at. But yeah, Terraria is then the next thing that Brett and I do stream. So if you, I guess, wanted to segue into that part, then
Perfect.
we can do that.
Sounds good.
So you before we started recording, Roger, you said that you did play Terraria, but many years ago.
Yeah. So Chris. Well, Button Mash Chris and I used to play it a fair bit. We used to do this thing back in the day when we had more time. Every Friday night, I would go to Chris's house and I would bring either my laptop or PlayStation or whatever, and we would just play games all night until like 6, 7 a.m. the next morning.
Damn, nice.
And we used to do that with Minecraft a lot. And Terraria was another one where we played a lot of. I think we've bought it on something like 3 different systems.
Yeah.
Like PC, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 or something, or PlayStation Vita, one of them. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a mobile version as well. You can get it on your phone.
Yeah, I'm not buying it again. No.
not for a mobile version.
Yeah, but it's been quite a long time since we've played it, so I imagine the game has changed quite a lot since then.
Well, for us, it was really, we were playing it a few years ago, and then I think 2015 was the last time we played.
Yeah, it originally came out in 2013, and then they had 2 years later in 2015 they released a massive patch. It was called like 1.2, and it like basically doubled the game, the size of the game, or it might have been 2014, and then there was 1.3, which made it, another third bigger again. So it's probably 3 times the size it originally was. But I think the last massive content patch was probably 2016. And they've sort of done incremental updates since then. One of the big updates was like expert mode, which is what me and Chris have just started. So basically, so you have half the amount of health, and the enemies, the enemies do double the amount of damage, and have double the amount of health.
Oh wow!
So it's like considerably harder. Like I'm already struggling with it because it's just you just get absolutely flogged. You have to sort of slow down and just play a bit more strategically.
Yeah.
But the loot is meant to be better.
Yeah. The loot's like doubled or something like that. Like you get way more. You get way more stuff. But I don't know. Like it probably won't make much sense to people listening if they haven't played Terraria. But the enemies they like when you normally die in normal mode, you drop some money and you can just go pick it back up. In this, they actually steal your money, the enemies, and like run off with it. So and I think you drop items as well. So it's like you get punished a lot more for dying.
Right.
Well, I think your items only drop because there's 2 different there's 2 different difficulty sets. So you've got like either your normal mode or your expert mode, and above that there's also softcore, normal core, and hardcore.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
If you're on softcore, if you're on softcore but playing expert mode, you'll drop money. And enemies will pick that up and steal it from you. To no absolute value to them. It's just to stop you from gaining additional money to buy other items and whatnot. If you go into like normal core, you'll drop your weapons, like your gear, or you drop items.
So it's only normal.
As well as
it's only normal core. So we're doing soft core but expert mode. Essentially.
Yeah. Right. And then there's hardcore. If you die, that's it. No, you're just dead.
It's like permadeath, which I don't even know how that would be possible. Like I've already died. I think I've played expert mode for 2 hours. I must have died at least 20 times. Oh man, it would be so it would just be so difficult.
But for I guess for any of your listeners who don't know what Terraria it is, what it is, first of all, it's like the greatest game ever made. And it's if you can imagine, it's one of the most addictive games I've probably ever played. That's for sure. And it's sort of like a 2D Minecraft, essentially, like a 2D platformer. So you're digging out sort of, you've got like your pickaxes and to dig out the ground, and you've got axes to knock down trees, and you're building and crafting sort of anvils and workbenches. You're crafting swords and bows and staff spears. You've got armor to create from a wide range of like wood armor, tin armor, iron, going into like obviously increasingly stronger metals and things like that. It's got a massive lineup of bosses that have their own interesting mechanics that make them unique and a pain in the ass to try and kill.
See, I feel like because a lot of people do say it's like a 2D Minecraft, but I feel like it's far more focused on combat and exploration, whereas Minecraft is more about the building of the base and that sort of thing. So if you like the adventure, and you don't really need to you can get away with really crappy bases in Terraria, and it literally doesn't matter, and you just can focus on combat and exploring, which is what I like to do.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't think I've played Minecraft to know if that is correct, because from people that I've seen online, there's a bunch of digging that goes on to go underground to explore, and they've got their swords and their bows, and there's definitely combat.
I'm not saying there's not combat in Minecraft. I'm just saying the focus, like if you were to sort of what's it focused on, Minecraft is more about building, whereas I think Terraria, even though you can build, is more focused on exploration combat. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. Okay. All right.
I could be wrong because I haven't really played Minecraft that much, but just from people, because I read a lot of forums and people that play both, they generally say that. But
okay,
all right. Please direct your hate mail to me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of fair. I've played a bit of both, and I don't know if I agree, but
there's a lot more. I think there's there's a lot more bosses in Terraria. I know that than there is in Minecraft.
Definitely.
Because it's all about the boss progression, really. The whole game is based around you progress through the game by killing the bosses, because it gives you new loot that you need to then get into new areas and be able to mine. You'll see ore that you can't mine unless you get a specific pickaxe, and you have to kill a certain boss to do it. So it sort of has all these little stages in the game that stops you from progressing.
There's a bit more of a structure in Terraria compared to Minecraft, I think. Minecraft is just survive.
Yes.
Terraria,
it's more a little bit more open-ended.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think Minecraft is still a game that, I mean, it's still obviously super popular, but if you haven't, I've never really played Minecraft, is that still a game that you could pick up and today and still get what's going on? Or do you sort of
100%.
maybe think for it's people have passed that opportunity? We've got later this year Classic WoW coming out, or Vanilla WoW coming out, and a lot of people are sort of super excited for it. But I kind of feel if you're someone who never played it, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, then if you were to play it now, you probably won't have. I don't think people will have the same sort of addictive behavior towards it, because I kind of think people are going to go, this is a 15-year-old game and it plays like a 15-year-old game. It's only that people like myself probably that are looking for the nostalgia, but as then a game, I kind of feel like if you haven't played it before, you've kind of missed the boat. Is that potentially the same with Minecraft, or is...
I wouldn't say so, because the thing is, similar to Terraria, you sort of start by putting in that seed number or whatever it is, and then it generates that world for you, right? And you could play single player if you want, and there's nothing, you're not competing against other people, so it's not like you're being left behind, you're at that lower level or whatever it is. Even if you were to play with other people, there's no level progression. I mean, there kind of is, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just a number, I guess. But you're essentially just digging, crafting stuff, and just crafting your own weapons and doing your own thing. It's just a very sort of chill game.
Is it very much like you craft your own weapons and armor, and the reason why you want to do that is to move into other areas as you explore to then attack more difficult enemies? Otherwise, you don't have to?
Yes, but the thing is, you don't know where anything is, because it's always sort of procedurally generated, right? So there could be something on your left, there could be something underneath your feet. You don't know, but there's always going to be, if you keep going down, you're going to whatever their version of hell is called. I forgot what it is. But yeah, there's stuff everywhere, but there's no sort of, it's not a linear game, right? So what Chris and I used to do when we played Minecraft is we'd just go in there, build a cool looking base and see what's around. And it's just like that kind of game where you just make up your own story. And, it's like you speak to someone else who's playing and they'll be playing in their world. They have a different narrative to yours. It's that sort of thing. So I definitely think if you start playing it today, I think that's why it's so popular. You have kids starting to play now on their iPad or whatever it is, and they're still having a lot of fun. Yeah, so I'd definitely say you can still have a lot
Maybe
of
put
fun.
a pin in it, potential. But there's a lot going around at the moment, so it's hard to find time for everything.
Yeah, definitely. But if you do jump in, let us know because we'll probably jump back in with you because it's cross-platform as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, between
Didn't know that was cross-platform.
It's cross-platform between everything except PlayStation 4.
Is there? Of course. They can get their name changes finally, so we're about another 15 years away from cross-platform.
Yeah, that must seem like wizardry to them if like they're struggling with the name change thing. Like to do a cross-platform is just
Fortnite
so far beyond their scope.
No, they've got Fortnite and what's the other game? Rocket League.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Is there any like different types of versions of Minecraft now? Like, is it a free-to-play game or is there a purchasable version?
I don't think it's free to play anywhere, but it's pretty cheap. You can get mods on PC, which we sort of dabbled in back in the day. Yep. Chris and I, you can get different skins or whatever.
Right. Okay.
All right, so I can get it on my phone for $10.99.
$10.99 on a phone, Jesus.
Yep.
All right, something to maybe put a pin in for a future date.
Yeah, but I definitely.
Well, there's Terraria 2 apparently is in development, but there's been very little information. There was going to be Terraria Otherworld, but it got cancelled.
Oh.
But yeah, they are apparently working on Terraria 2, but it still could be a few years away. But it's like, come on, guys, bring it out. Need some new stuff.
Do you need a Terraria 2?
I'm just doing a replay. It's like my fourth or fifth replay through Terraria.
Wouldn't it? I guess. What would it? Some games I understand if they release a sequel because it's like you're limited by what you can add to the game, but like a PC game like Terraria, just you can just expand on it. Like World of Warcraft is a good example, or Minecraft. It's just the
keep
same
building
game that just yeah.
Well, yeah, I just want more stuff. So like, but I guess it's like a way for them to make money because I feel like with they never charge for any of the DLCs and like or the patches, and it's like that's cool and everything, but like I want to give them more money. So making Terraria 2 and I'll throw money at you, like, definitely. So like they deserve to make more money and you can't give everything away for free and and keep your company going.
Yeah. Awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching you guys play very soon. I've got one game I want to talk about, which I heard one of the developers of the game talk about the game, and it just sounded so charming. Like you could tell that they put a lot of love in that game. And that game's called Operencia, The Stolen Sun. Have you guys heard of that at all?
No, I can't say I
haven't.
Yeah, so it's a kind of, I don't know how much went into the game, but it kind of looks low budget. It's not a AAA title by any stretch of the imagination, but it's so it's on Xbox and PC at the moment, and it's basically it's an RPG, but like very old school. So it's in first person. You can look around, but then when you're moving on kind of a grid base. So you're moving square by square. Just kind of weird.
Is it how... So, just trying to visualize that.
So imagine just your average first-person game, right? With 3D graphics and trees everywhere, whatever. It's that, but when you're moving grid by grid, instead of just freely walking forward. I mean, if you're just walking in a straight line, you hold the stick forward or W forward, whatever, it will just keep walking, but you can't sort of move diagonally or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's one kind of old school way of doing it. Then you have the combat, which is just turn-based, old school turn-based RPG combat. Basically, so you're moving grid by grid, and then you'll see an enemy ahead of you, but they're also kind of moving the same way. So what you're trying to do is sort of sneak up behind them, because then if you do that, it engages the combat, but then you've got that ambush advantage on them, so then you can attack first. But it's very old school RPG kind of thing, where it's just the combat is just turn based, and you can be a mage or a knight or a sort of thief, or these old school fantasy RPG tropes. It's all in there.
Yeah, the sort of traditional archetypes of RPG classes. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. But where it's like where you can feel the charm of that game is it's based on it's like Central European folklore. So basically, you're just playing through these like fables from Central European stories that I've never heard of, but it's really interesting to hear those stories. And then you have one of your companions who's a thief, but he's been stuck in this castle for like 20 years or something like that, and then you find him and he joins you, and then because he's been lonely this whole time, like to keep his sanity, he's just been writing stories. So that's kind of the reason for having your journal, and then you go in there and you can read about the lore of different things, and they have a bit of banter between them, and like it's decent dialogue, even if the voice acting isn't that great. But yeah, it's just a charming sort of... It's kind of refreshing because I haven't played anything like this in quite a long time. It's very basic. It doesn't look the best, even though it's using the Unreal Engine, but it's very basic kind of graphics. So I guess don't let that kind of deter your... Go on.
Is this a game in early access, or has it been released yet?
It's been released. So it came out probably about 2 weeks ago now. If you have Game Pass, it's on there, so you can just play it for free.
Is that the Microsoft?
Quote unquote free, I guess. Yes, that's right. So that's the one where you pay $10.95 a month, and you can play whatever games is available on there.
Yeah.
Like Netflix and video games.
Is there a potential game that you might be able to sort of relate it to? Just to try, I mean, outside of not seeing any trailers or any images, just trying to potentially visualize what it could be like.
To like visually, I don't know. I guess the very first. No, even then, the way
it's
you
like
move,
RPG with turn-based combat. So is it like old school, Oblivion or that kind of?
Yeah, but the combat's turn-based, whereas Oblivion was still kind of it's real time. So
you actually when you engage into a fight, it actually goes into a turn-based.
It goes into
Does it?
that combat phase,
okay.
and then it goes combat mode. But there's that, and there's also like really cool puzzles around that you need to solve, and you need to keep in mind that sort of because the movement is done that way, you can't just run around like a crazy person. You need to strategize where you're going to move next. Can I go onto that next grid without there might be a trap there or whatever it is. But there's also like these you remember those old games where puzzles were cool whereas now it's like you've got your special vision and everything's highlighted or whatever it is. Yeah, this is like your old school.
I liked it when you used to have to work stuff out.
Yeah.
It gives you more like sense of a sense of accomplishment.
Exactly.
That's probably actually one of my biggest problems with Division 2 actually is there's certain missions where it can be like all right, find the laptop to hack into the system, and then like up comes a waypoint, and it's like, all right, the laptop's over there, and then it's like, all right, I'll go get it.
Good chance to look for it. It's just like everything is just lit up, and
and it's like,
do not think for yourself at all.
Yeah, it's like now that you've hacked into the laptop, go pull the lever to do a thing, and it's just like levers over there, and it's like, all right, I'll go. So even though it's like it's an open world, open sandbox game, it's like it's super linear because it's like follow the waypoint. There's like one particular mission in Division 2 where you're sort of in a real sort of situation where you're getting I'm trying to word this in a way because it's such a fun little part that it's also annoying because it points to where you need to go. But basically, there is some sort of ailment that sort of hits you, and you're stumbling all over the place. Your screen's kind of going blurry, and it's like, oh, release the valve, and it's just like, to save yourself. And then it's just like, that would have been fun to try and explore within the like laboratory or building that you're in, to try and find the valve within like a time restriction to actually save yourself. Otherwise, it's just like, no, it's just there. Just go flick the lever. You can see it. Go get it. And it's just like, oh, that's just like, So any game that can present a way of you having to figure it out for yourself is always a tick in my book.
Yeah, but I think it's the aesthetic. It's not as bad as I'm making it sound, I guess, but it's very basic. The animations are pretty basic. When you're in that combat phase, you're still in first person, so you can never see your character. You can only see them when they're talking to one another, and it's just like a 2D render of them, I guess. So,
like a still image.
Yeah, it's just a still image of your character.
Okay, so very sort of JRPG like, where it's like you get the still image and the dialogue sort of pops up. Okay, all right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just very charming. Like, even being so basic, I'm loving it. I was expecting kind of, because I heard about it, I was like, oh, check it out, whatever. I'm not expecting too much, but it was published by Zen Studios, and I'm looking at it now. So it's exclusive to the Epic Game Store on PC.
Of course it is.
Like everything else.
And it's $29.99 on there. So yeah, it's your typical kind of, just digital only game.
It's nice when you get surprised by a game that's like not AAA, and you just kind of take a punt on it, and you're like, wow, this is really good.
I started playing it on Friday night, and I've put in maybe 3 to 4 hours, but I haven't touched the Division 2 since I've played it. Every time, like, it's that kind of game where like I'm doing something, I'm out somewhere, and I'm still thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get home and play, sneak in a couple of hours of Operencia, and that's probably what I'm going to do after we finish recording the podcast. And it's like, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, oh, I need to go to bed. I need to go to sleep, but I wish that Operencia was on my Switch so I could still play in bed. Like, it's
okay. Interesting. All right.
That's cool. Interesting logic, because it's like, oh, I'm in bed, so I'm kind of sleeping, but not really.
That's the thing. It's like, no, I don't want to sleep. I want to keep playing, but I'm tired.
I like that feeling. I like it when you're that addicted to something. Just like, you're willing to not sleep to play it. It's good.
Yeah,
it's a very love-hate
really
situation.
Charming game. Yeah. Like, you can feel the love that's gone into that game when you're playing it. It's really cool.
The risk of having a game that's so addictive that that's all you're thinking about is like when it comes to work, and it's just like, I'd rather be home playing the game. And so there's been times in the past over the many years of gaming where it's like, oh, my nose is a bit runny. Is it bad enough that I don't have to go to work because of this game? Try and justify it.
Okay,
it's try to will yourself into being sick.
I don't think I'm at that stage, but you know what I mean. Like, it's in the back of my mind. It's like I'm thinking about it. I think that's how I gauge how much I'm enjoying a game. It's like I'm thinking about it when I'm not playing it.
Yes,
and it's.
I think that's interesting. Okay, that's cool. I'll have to maybe YouTube it after this and see what it's about for myself now.
It's kind of what I do with Terraria. Like, I'll just be playing it, and then we finish, and then I go to bed and just start reading about Terraria on my phone. It's like the same kind of thing. Like, just start reading the wiki, like reading all the armors and shit. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do next time. Like, start planning for my next session.
Like, yesterday, I spent probably a good hour just reading in the journal, just reading about the lore of like those folklore stories, because it's like it's based on actual, like, not factual stories, but those fables from Central Europe from hundreds of years ago, and I find that really interesting. Obviously not for everyone, but if that's sort of your jam, Yeah, definitely check it out. And it's got an interesting mechanic as well that I should probably talk about with the combat, where you've got a front line, a middle line, and then the back line. So then different attacks do a certain amount of damage if the enemy is in the front line, so it's close to you. But then you might have sort of a mid-range attack that does more damage in that middle area, and then you've got your obviously your ranged attack that does more damage if the enemy's far away. So you got to use that sort of strategy as well.
So when you've got the different lines there, like your front, middle, and back, does that imply, or does that mean there's like a party-based system, so you can actually have multiple people in your party?
It is, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So the further you progress in the game, the more companions you get. So I've got 3 at the moment. You start with 2. It's it's kind of like you start the tutorial is like the first mission kind of thing. So you play as 3 different characters that are level cap, and they've got all these attacks, and it shows you how to play and stuff. And then after this has happened, it jumps like 40 years forward or whatever it is. And then that's when you create your character, and then it tells you a little bit where your character has been having these dreams about this weird stag that keeps guiding you to this lake. And then you wake up one day and you're like, you know what? I'm actually going to follow my dream, literally, and go to that lake. And then that's when you do your first sort of adventure. And
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that sort of...
Yeah, all right. I'll have to put it on the to-do list, or at least give it a look.
Yeah, definitely have a look. It's, very interesting. But I think that's all we've got in the bag for today. We did pretty well, I think. We're at an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half from where we were last time on episode 10. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for jumping on today and helping me out while Chris is in Bali with his fiance.
Not a problem at all.
Yeah. So where can the people find what you do over the internet?
Sure. Okay. I mean, any sort of, if you're on iTunes or Android through whatever your dedicated podcast app is, you can search for Control Alt Record. Compared to last time we were on, we've changed sort of our social media details around a little bit to make it a bit more user friendly and easier to remember. So now on Twitter, we're at CarPod TV. So just the abbreviations of Control Alt Record, pod for podcast, and TV. So CarPod TV, Instagram, we're CarPod TV. Gmail is carpodtv@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure actually Twitch. So just search for CarPod TV again, twitch.tv/CarPod TV. And the only thing that's really different is Facebook, where it's just the straight full Control Alt Record. Everything else is basically CarPod TV. But yeah, so you can check us out on Twitch there. That's sort of where we live stream our podcast recording as well. So we like to try and get involved with listeners at the same time now. And currently while we're mucking around on DLive, you can find me at Herdy TV over on DLive.
Awesome. Yeah, because when I asked you about where you were streaming your Diablo stream and you said CarPod TV, I was like, what the hell is CarPod? All makes sense now.
Yeah, because initially for us, we used to be like, the way we were like 50-50. Some things were like control as in CONTROL, and then other things were like the keyboard control, CTRL. And trying to sort of say every episode, you can find us at CTRL ALT Recorder. Gee, it was just like, it's just too long. So we had a chat and we're like, CarPod TV, just the abbreviations of it all. But you can also on DLive, Brett is there as well with his own channel, which is Killbot, I believe.
Just Killbot, easy.
Just straight Killbot.
Yep, I kept it simple.
Awesome.
Kills the bots.
That sounds really...
Where do you even come up with that name?
Oh, it's a Futurama reference. I was like literally 15 when I made it. And it's just always been my gaming name. So it was like Killbots in Futurama. So I just took it from there. It doesn't really mean anything. But it's more interesting than Herdy, I think.
I'm really bad with names. So I'm really bad at coming up with names. So I was just like, it's just like an abbreviation on my actual surname. That's all it is.
Yeah. Does the job.
Does the job.
Does the job. Awesome. Sounds good. Well, if you want to contact us, you can always email us. We're at buttonmashpod@gmail.com. You can also find all of our episodes on our website, which is www.buttonmashpod.com. We're also on Facebook if you just look up Button Mash Podcast. Changing a little bit with the Instagram. Chris is probably going to keep his the same. Mine's going to be changing, but I'll keep you up to date shortly when it's launched. But that's it for this week. Thank you guys again for joining us, and thank you listeners for listening. We'll speak to you next week.
Final round.